Okay. So, did you guys? Okay. Before I go there, let me give a quick recap of what we have done so far. Um, we signed up for a Salesforce instance. We saw how Salesforce relates to cloud computing and the different models of cloud computing, and then I think we saw what CRM application means, like what customer relationship management life cycle is, and how the default out of the box product that Salesforce gives falls under the regular CRM life cycle. And then we spoke about multi-tenancy. We saw some Salesforce instances and what they are, and how multi-tenancy can be useful, and at the same time how we need to be aware and cautious about the governor limits that are in place to make sure that we write efficient code, and to make sure we write code within the constraints that Salesforce is giving us. And then I think we started an introduction about database, like what is the importance of having a properly organized database. And we are talking about a relational database in Salesforce. I mean, Salesforce uses relational database. So we started with an example where we created a table. I mean, tables are called as objects in Salesforce. So we created an object called employee object with like some fields like employee name, employee number, things like that. And then that's number one. And then we spoke about a scenario where if we have to create multiple, like if we have to capture employee salary, one way is to create a field called current salary on the employee table. The other way, if you want to do periodic salaries, like, from certain period to certain period, the salary is this. From another period to another end date, if the salary is this. So if you want to do periodic salary calculation, we need another object called as employee salaries. And then give me 1 second, sorry. Okay, so we are talking about employee salaries. So if you want to do periodic salaries, we need another object called as employee salaries, and then we connect the employee salary with the employee table. So employee is the parent object, and employee salaries will be the child object. So this way we are establishing one-to-many relationship between employee salaries. So in the employee salaries table, we are the column that helps us to identify, like the column that helps us to identify which employee salary relates to what employee is through a key. Like we are going to capture the employee number as a key. So through which, by looking at the employee salary table, we are able to identify which employee that salary belongs to. Any questions so far? Anybody? I think some people didn't attend. It wasn't possible for attending the weekend classes, but did you guys go through the videos, or any questions, even the people who have attended so far? From the recap I have given, the quick recap I have given, do you feel like you're not aware of something, or do you feel like you're hearing these things for the first time? Anybody, anything like that?
No, sir, I went through the recordings and I'm fine. I'm on the same page with you today.
Okay, cool. Anybody else? Okay. Now I asked you guys to create the employee table and also the employee relationship table. Did anybody do that?
Yes.
Niranjan, can I make you the presenter? Would you mind presenting your screen?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let me make you the presenter. Yeah, let me know when you're ready. I'll make you the presenter so you can go through the solution, what you have. making you the presenter. Can you write the presenter? Yeah, I made you the presenter. You can share your screen. Maybe you can see an option to present your screen. Do you see it? Like, if you, on your screen, you'll see an arrow, up arrow. When
Yeah.
when you hover over it, it says share content. You can share the screen.
Just download something if you're not able to download. Maybe I need to share extension.
Oh, yeah, you might need the WebEx extension. In the meanwhile, like I mentioned, I think if you guys know what object relationships are, and if you guys know like the importance, how to design schema for different scenarios, and that'd be awesome. Yeah, I can see your screen, Niranjan.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, I can see employees.
Yeah. Here
Yeah.
in the related list, you can see the salary as well. So employee salary.
Okay.
So
Uh-huh.
I made the employers table as employee salary as a master detail relationship.
Okay. That's good. Yeah, we'll come to that, like the master detail and lookup relationship. But yeah, this is good. So you have the employee table where you have employee number, first name, last name, position, and then you have the related object, which is nothing but employee salaries, where you can keep on adding as many records. Can you click new? New button. Yeah. So where you can use this new button to be able to add like as many salaries as you want for that employee record, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is cool. Yeah, this is exactly what we wanted. Anybody else tried this?
I can stop the sharing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Niranjan.
Yeah, I tried and I did the same thing. So
Okay, that's cool.
I created the object and the salary.
Okay, that's good. All right. Now, hopefully, if anybody didn't do it, I hope you guys can do the same. So one word of caution that I want to give about Salesforce. When you read any Salesforce document, right? Or let's say somebody is explaining a concept to you in Salesforce, like when you're reading a document or when somebody is explaining a document to you in Salesforce, it feels like the most easiest thing. It gives an impression that like you pretty much got everything. But that's the pitfall. The moment when because the documentation is so well written, like any documentation that you take in Salesforce, they have a whole team, a huge team that only works on documentation for Salesforce, and those people are very, very good in writing those. So the documentation is written so comprehensively that anything that you are reading, it seems so easy. It seems like very straightforward. When you're reading it, you really feel like you're getting it. But the moment you are trying to do the exact same thing on your own without reading the document, the moment you're trying to do something on your own, that's when we really run into issues. So, I would never trust my document reading ability. I would always only trust my, ability to what you call actually getting my hands dirty, by practicing something. So it doesn't matter, whether you know Salesforce, whether you do not know Salesforce, just, play around with, every day morning whenever you wake up, just log in there and just, navigate around the tabs, click setup, click go to like it doesn't matter. Just live in that world, live in that instant. So you keep on looking at new things, you keep on learning at new things. It doesn't matter whether you have studied about it, whether you didn't study about it, because all you're doing is you have a developer instance. It's a practice org. So you can just do whatever you want. It doesn't matter whether it works, it doesn't work, but you will learn something out of it. So whenever you're reading a document, it is okay if you read one document instead of 10, but make sure the one document that you read, you put it into practice there. Okay, so that I think that's one piece of advice that I've learned over the years, especially while reading Salesforce documents. Okay, now moving back to the relationships. So now let's talk about let's talk about some scenarios or within Salesforce. Okay, within the Salesforce, let's talk about relationships between objects. Now, between employee and employee salary. So the relationship is one to many. When I say one to many, one employee can have multiple salaries. So of course, one to many, parent is the employee and child object, parent object is the employee object and child object is the employee salary object. Okay. Now, how are they connected with each other? Like, what is the connecting field that connects employee and employee salaries? So on employee salary object, if you see on employee salary object, there will be a field called employee. Okay, on employee salary object, there will be a field called employee that is connecting both employee and employee salary object. So that key is the connecting link between both objects, and hence a relationship is established. Now, in Salesforce, okay, you have 4 different types of relationships, okay, like lookup, master detail, hierarchical, and many-to-many. But let's not worry about hierarchical and many-to-many. Let's only worry about lookup and master detail. Again, while building the app, we will get back to that again. But now that we spoke about object relations so far, I just want to point out that one difference. So there is lookup relationship and master detail relationship. Okay, so these are 2 types of relationships. Like the names of the relationships are lookup relationship and master detail. Okay, so one confusing point, like I've seen a lot of people, who have been already working, but they always get confused at this point. Whenever you're talking about object relationships, okay, you're always talking about one-to-many relationship. Like that means, there is no one-to-one relationship. Okay, so you're always talking about one employee can have.
Yeah. Hello, Shravan.
I can't see the screen, Shravan.
Yeah. Are you sharing it?
Not
I think
really,
I'm not
but
able to see.
okay. Let me just log in first. Are you able to see now? You guys, are you able to see the screen?
Yes, now I can.
Okay. So, you know what I'll do? Let me create the employee relationships. So we created the employee, right? So let me quickly create another object. I wouldn't take more time. I'll just take 1 minute to create the employee relationship object, and then I'll try to explain you what lookup and master detail relationship are. Okay? So I think we all know about this employee object. So I go to the object manager. I create a new custom object. I'll name it employee salary. Okay. The data type, I'll just choose auto number. Again, I'll get back to you what these are. Okay, so I just created an object called employee salary. I'm going to add fields. Okay, the first field is, as we discussed, it's going to be start date. Ideally, every time you are creating a field, you need to add the description. We need to say this field is used to capture the okay. So accept the defaults. We'll we'll understand all this. All we are trying to understand is just the relationships. So now I will add another one called end date. So start date, end date, and we need another field called amount. Oh shit, end date. Okay, we just need another field called amount. Okay. Now, so look at this object. So we created an object called employee relationship, and in this object we have start date, end date, and amount. Now, so far what we have is we created an employee object, and then we created another object called employee salary object, where we have fields like what you call amount, end date, and start date. Now, do we need anything else here? Are we missing anything else here on the employee salary object that would connect employee table and employee salary table? So we need a relationship field. Okay, I'll tell you what that is. So for now, let's choose lookup relationship. We need a relationship field. I'll explain you what this relationship field is. And the relationship is employee So now you see here, we are looking up to employee to establish the relationship between employee and employee salaries. Okay, let's go back to the app. Okay, I clicked here, like I clicked on here to be able to go back to the app, or we can just, yeah. So here we added employees. So if you see here, so automatically we will see employee salaries here. Okay, so the employee name is test2. Okay, here we have related. I'll just click new. It says start date is 2017, end date is 2018, salary is 50,000. For which employee here? Like if you look at this record is clearly telling you that this is an employee salary record. So for test2 employee, there is an employee called test2. For this employee, the salary between 2017 and 2018 is 50,000. Okay, so this is the employee, test2 employee. The salary is this. Now you can add another one. You can say, you can predict future salaries too. You can just say 20. 60,000. So you're saying for the same employee, for the same test to employee, you have two related records. One is for one period and another one is for another period, and it is indicating. So basically, from the database perspective, we established a one-to-many relationship. Okay, we established one-to-many relationship between employee and the employee salary table, and using that, we are able to capture how one employee can have multiple salaries associated with them. Okay, so now coming back to the relationships. So whenever we talk about relationship, there are two relationship names. The names are two relationship. One is lookup relationship, and another one is master detail relationship. Okay, so what is the difference between a lookup relationship and master detail relationship? Okay, so the major difference is both are one-to-many relationship. Whenever we talk about relationship between tables or relationship between objects, it's always one-to-many. We are talking about one object will be the parent, another object will be the child. One object will be we are only talking about those. So now there are two types of relationship. One is lookup relationship. One is master detail. So what is the major difference between lookup and master? Okay, it's this lookup and master detail is solely Salesforce concept. It is not a concept that exists in SQL or anywhere. Okay, in SQL or anywhere, there are only whenever you talk about object relationship, this is the parent object, this is the child object. That's it. That's where the relationship ends. In water. But the concept of relationships, especially lookup and master detail, the concept of lookup and master detail is solely related to just Salesforce, working within Salesforce. Okay, so let's try to understand what that is. It's just the affinity. When I say affinity, in lookup relationship, parent and child can exist independently. That means you can create an employee salary record. Okay, you don't have to remember the whole concept. For now, just remember the basic points. Okay, so in lookup relationship, parent and child records can exist independently. That means there can, just like in real world, there are people, orphans, who doesn't have parents, but the kids still exist. So in lookup relationship, that is possible. That means, let me do this. So let me clear this out. If I clear this out and hit save, so what did I do now? All I did is, we have an employee salary record without any link to any employee. So what is this called? This is an orphan record, right? This does not have any parent record. This is an orphan. All we are saying is, hey, the start date is 30/1/2019, end date is 29/1/2020, amount is 60,000. Is it related to any employee record? No, this is not related to any employee record because we cleared out the relationship value. So this is not related. So this is an orphan record. In lookup relationship, so even though these two tables, like the employee table and employee salary table, are two connected from the database point of view, both tables have a relationship, but still you can create records without linking them. Like the tables are related, but you can still create independent records. Okay, I'll tell you a perfect example in a real world use case. You might be wondering, why the heck we will relate the tables and still be able to create independent records? What would be a real life use case? Where would that situation exist? I'll tell you a very good example. Okay, now let's in the same lines. Okay, let's talk about accounts. You see account here. Remember we spoke about account is nothing but an entity, and under account we can have numerous contacts, right? That's what we spoke about. So what is the relationship between an account and contact? Account is the parent and contacts are child records, and they are connected through lookup relationship. Now Okay, good. Account and contact. We have account and contact, and why we are relating accounts with contacts. Okay. Now, I have a scenario like this. I need to create a contact. Like, let's say somebody called me, like out of nowhere, somebody called me, but I got their phone number, I got their email, I got everything, but I did not yet get the information which company they work for. Okay, let's say I'm talking on the phone. I'm talking on the phone to a prospect. I'm a salesperson. I'm talking on the phone to a prospect, and they gave me all the information. Like, hey, my name is so and so. My phone number is this. My email is this. My all this. But let's assume I forgot to ask them which company they work for. Okay, or they might say, you know what? I'm about to change my job. Call me 1 week later. That's when I'll tell you the actual company that I work for. Now, they are giving valuable information like first name, last name, and everything, but we do not know which company they work for. Don't we create a record? We still should create a contact, right? We still should create a contact. So what do? We click contacts. We click new. Okay. We'll just say Mr. John, no company. And you see the account name field. I will take all the titles like, sales rep. I'll take, the lead source is nothing but phone inquiry. I'll take the phone number. I'll take everything, email and everything, and I'll just save this record. Now, I created the contact, but if you see, this contact is not associated with any account. Okay, I did not link this contact with any account, because I do not know, either I forgot or these are called private contacts. You know what I mean? Private contacts. That means, see, Salesforce is Salesforce is a tool that can be used for organizing your meetings, and it is used to do some of your personal things too. The salespeople, they live in Salesforce. They do all the activities in Salesforce. Let's say they want to meet a doctor. They don't have to link it. If they want to meet a doctor, they can put in the information of the doctor, like, what is the first name, last name, doctor, and everything. But they don't have to link it to any account, because these are called private contacts. Okay. If they don't link it to any account, they are called private contacts. Or the other scenario that I mentioned, where the person forgot to ask the company, or the contact said, I'll give you the name of the company that I work for after a week. So there are so many scenarios where we may not actually know the account name, but we still have to create a contact. Okay. So in this scenario, we are still in this scenario, account and contact are related. Account is the parent object, contact is the child object. They both have a lookup relationship, but still there was a necessity for us to be able to create a contact without even a link to the account. Okay. So now, if you go to any account, like you go to Enterprise Rental, you see John Doe and Jane Doe. If you go to Avega 6 account, you see Shravan Pininti as the contact. Okay. But this, the contact that I created, John No Company, will not be appearing under any account, because it doesn't belong to any account. It's an independent contact of its own. Now, maybe when I call next time, hey, remember, I forgot to ask you which company you work for. Then they say, you know what, I work for Enterprise Car Rental. Then what you come here and you link it. See, linking is nothing but you are choosing Enterprise Car Rental and save. Now what did we do? We populated the relationship field. Like, we established a link between two objects. Using this relationship field, we established the link between two objects. So what happens now? If I go to Enterprise Car Rental, okay, I'll see three contacts now. See, under Enterprise Car Rental, I'm seeing three contacts now. I'm seeing John Doe, Jane Doe, and John No Company. Okay, because I linked the contact to this account. But before that, when I created this contact, did I have this lookup populated? No, I did not have this lookup field populated. Okay, see. This kind of flexibility is possible only in lookup relationship. Okay, that means you create a lookup relationship between objects. when there is a requirement that like the child record, if there is a business necessity that if the child record can exist independently, okay, like the example that we spoke about between account and contact, so then you create a lookup relationship. Now, what is master detail relationship? Master detail relationship is also exactly the same, but if you establish master detail between, like if account and contact are master detail relationship, you cannot empty this, okay, you cannot nullify this. So a child record cannot be an orphan in master detail relationship. So like that's it's just the affinity. Remember I told you this lookup and master detail relationship is only a concept of Salesforce. It's not the regular database concept. Now, what is this concept? It's just the affinity between the objects. In lookup relationship, if you establish a lookup relationship between two objects, the child object can be an orphan or it can have a parent record. Whereas if you establish a master detail relationship, the name itself master detail, the affinity is high. So that means it has to have a parent record. Okay? You cannot have a child record, like there is no concept of orphan records in case of master detail. Okay, so it is lookup relationship and master detail relationship. So in lookup relationship, both parent and child can exist independently, whereas in master detail relationship, parent and child cannot exist independently. You have to have the child record should always be linked to a parent. Okay, that's master detail relationship. The other feature, like Salesforce out of the box, as a platform feature, what it provides is in master detail relationship, okay, like in master detail relationship, if you delete the parent record, like, in case you decided you want to delete the parent record, the child records will also automatically be deleted. Okay. Again, it's Salesforce feature. Salesforce as a platform, it is giving you an option. It's giving you the platform feature. What it is saying is, if you establish master detail relationship, when you delete the parent record, we will automatically delete all the child records related to it from the database. Whereas if you establish a lookup relationship, if you delete the parent record, yeah, the parent is dead. The kids can still exist as orphans, So because the affinity is low, even the parent records are deleted, the child records can still exist independently. So that is the difference. Now, the caution that I want to give you is, so you will hear what lookup and master detail, and after few days, you know what it happens, what it comes to. When I ask what is the difference between lookup and master detail, I think some of you would answer, yeah, lookup is one-to-one relationship, master detail is one-to-many. We would end up there. So I'm just saying there is no one-to-one. It's always one-to-many. Anytime we are talking about tables or anytime we are talking about objects or relationships, we're always talking about one-to-many. One parent object and a child object, parent object and a child. We're always talking about those. But it's just lookup or master detail is a Salesforce concept where we are saying, hey, the relationship, the object relationship that we are establishing, is it a tight relationship or is it a loosely bound relationship? If it is a loosely bound relationship, depending on the business scenario, we choose lookup. If it is a tight relationship, we choose master detail. So because, if we have a scenario where like if your business scenario is such that a contact cannot exist, like you do not want anybody to, for example, in our scenario, in this scenario, now tell me, in our employee salary scenario, is lookup a valid case or master detail a valid relationship? Anybody? In employee salary, we establish relationship, right, between employee and employee salary. What would be the ideal relationship here? Would it be lookup or would it be master detail?
Master detail.
Why master detail?
There is no point of employer salary record without employee detail.
Exactly. So in this case, it is master detail because there is no point in creating an employee salary record when it is not linked to an employee. Like there is like it doesn't make sense at all. So in our account and contact scenario, remember in our account and contact scenario, there are numerous use cases where we can still create a contact, like, private contacts, which are not related to any business. There is so many scenarios where creating a contact makes sense without even linking to an account. Whereas in our employee salary scenario, would an employee salary, does it make sense without even having an employee? No, you only have employee salary concept. The salary of employee, the concept of employee salary exists only when there are employees. So the ideal scenario, the ideal situation, like when asked you to pick up between lookup or master detail, you should pick up a master detail in employee salary scenario, because when the employee record gets deleted, all the employees salary will, the salary records that are related to that employee will also be deleted automatically. Okay. We will touch back, we will again, while we are building the app, we will talk about the relationship again in the app that we are going to build. But I just want you to understand, what is one-to-many and how we are relating two tables is the end goal. Okay. You know what? You guys can curse me later. I'll pick up some of your names and I'll give you a scenario, and I'll ask you, what should be the parent object, what should be the child object, like that. Okay? Let's do this. Okay. Let me think. Let's think about some scenario. Okay. Now tell me this. Between, I think you guys know the concept, right? We have accounts, contacts, and opportunity. Can anybody tell me what is the relationship between, I don't want whether it's lookup or master detail. I'm just asking between account and opportunity. Okay, between account and opportunity, what is the relationship between account and opportunity? Let me pick somebody. If I ask you generally, nobody's answering me. So let me pick somebody. Let me pick Krishna. So Krishna, tell me, what is the relationship between account and opportunity? What is the parent and what is the child?
I think
okay.
Opportunity will be the parent.
Okay. Here is how I'll look at it. Now,
because if there is an opportunity, then only there is a contact person, there is a account that must have been created, right? That's way I am thinking.
See, the other way around. When I say the other way, let's compare it with employee and employee salary. So now you know one concept, right? That is, we have employee and employee salaries. Between those two, employee is the parent object and employee salary is the child object, right? Are you clear with this concept?
Yes.
Okay. So how are we saying, or why are we saying employee is the parent and employee salary is the child? What is the reason why we are saying the relationship is why are we not calling employee salary as the parent and employee as the child?
Oh, because one employee can have many salaries.
That's good. So one employee can have many salaries, just like parent-child relationship.
Right.
One parent can have multiple kids.
Multiple kids.
So
correct.
one employee, yeah. So now between account and opportunity, now think about it. In those
one
lines,
account can have many opportunities. So it is other way what I said.
Yes. So one account, right? Enterprise is an account.
And it can have multiple opportunities.
Multiple opportunities.
Right.
So what would be the parent here? Account is the parent and opportunities is the child.
Child, right.
Yeah. Now, is it lookup relationship or master detail relationship? That's a secondary concept. It depends on whether we can create an opportunity without linking to an account, or all the opportunities should always be connected to an account. That's a secondary concept, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now let me pick some. Okay. I think you guys are going to college, right? So let me ask somebody. Let me pick on Sindhu. Sindhu, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I just want to ask you a question.
Okay.
Okay. Let me make. I'm just thinking a scenario.
Okay.
So let's say you're going to a college, or let's say you're building a college application, like a college, registration kind of application. Okay. So you have an object called student. Okay. You have an object called student, where student contains like the student number, student ID, student email, student name, and all that. You have an object called student, and then you have another object where all the courses are listed, like BUS 501, BUS 502, Business 503, law, ethics, whatever. So you have all the courses listed in an object called course object, and you have the student names listed in an object called student object. Now, of course, like you are building an app that indicates, okay, these students for this semester they registered these courses. Okay, so in that scenario, what would be the parent object and what would be the child object?
I guess parent would be courses and child would be children, because many courses can have many number of children, students, right?
Actually, you are right. I gave a many-to-many scenario. You know what? My example is wrong. I mean, you are right. It is both ways, right? One student can take numerous courses, and in one course there can be numerous students. So that's a many-to-many scenario, which will come later. So my example is wrong, which is good. I mean, your thought is good. So, like you mentioned, one course can also have multiple students. At the same time, one student can also register for multiple courses, which brings our many-to-many scenario. Okay, let's not go there. I'll try to come up with another example. You know what? Let me not think. Can anybody give me an example of one-to-many relationship? Like any example that that you can think of, a one-to-many relationship. This is a scenario where if we convert this into objects, this will be the parent object and this will be the child object. Can anybody give me one example like that?
Can I tell one?
Yes, of course.
Thinking of a recruiting app, a position will be the parent, and applicants who are applying for that position will be the child.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's a good example. So there will be a job posting.
Yeah.
So for one job posting, there will be numerous people that are going to be applying it. So the position is the parent object, and the applicant is going to be the child object.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's a good example. So, okay. See, the reason why I'm stressing so much is I want you guys to know, like lookup and master detail. People give so much importance. I mean, there is importance, but while establishing relationships, you need to think those possibilities. Is there a possibility where this object can exist independently? Is there a possibility where, does master detail make sense? Because in employee salaries example, in position and applicants for that position, what would be the ideal relationship? Would it be lookup or master details? I would assume it would be master detail, because only when there is a position, there can be applicants to it, right?
Yes.
In only that scenario, not in the broader scenario. Only when there is a job position that is posted, that's when people can start applying. Like, if you go to a company's website, somebody is posting a job, like, somebody is posting a job posting, and only when somebody see that job posting, that's when people would start applying for it. So, like, without the job posting, there is no point of job applicants, right?
That's
So
true. So it will be master detail.
Yeah, that's true. It will be master detail. So, like, even from a data cleaning perspective, when the company deletes this job posting, it would automatically delete all the records, all the job applicant records that belong to this position. That way everything will be gone. Okay, now I just want to.
Confused.
Yes, sorry. Go ahead.
Like, I mean, you said like it's many to many means master relationship, but here it's like for one position, like many people were applying, right?
Yes. No, I didn't. I never even spoke about many to many relationship at all. Like, I gave a wrong scenario to Sindhu.
It's like for one position, like many people will be applying.
Yes. So the position object is the parent, and applicants, like, the people who are applying, the applicant object will be the child object.
Okay.
Through master detail relationship. Through master detail relationship. Like, take off the concept of many to many. Like, we are not there yet. We are only talking about one to many relationship. Okay, I'll give you another example just to clarify. Okay, so this is a real scenario, which came, a requirement came today for me. So what, like, we as a company, like, the company that I work for, what we do is the company organizes a volunteer day. Like, what they do is they select a date, probably June 15th or like March 15th. Let's assume March 15th is the date. Okay, so March 15th is the date where they will be conducting a volunteer day. Okay. Sorry, I'm just muting someone. Okay, so March 15th is the day where it's a volunteer day. Now what happens is they send out a poster saying, hey, March 15th we are conducting a volunteer day. You guys can come attend. You can, do the painting and all that stuff. Now, but before doing that, like, we want to know who are all participating so we can plan for it. So can you please register here? Okay. And like, they give a registration form, and this whole thing is done in Salesforce. Okay. So that means, see, volunteer, the day, March 15th is the event date, right? So I call that as event. Okay. Event is on March 15th. So I call that object as event object. And then there are volunteers. Like, I create another object called volunteers. So in this case, okay, what is the parent object? Like, among event and volunteer, what is the parent object and what is the child object? Just in that scenario, let's assume we are only going to use this for once. Deepti, can you answer this? Like, we have an event.
Yeah, I'm thinking that parent is the event. Okay.
Child is volunteering.
Why is that? Like, can you explain me why?
Because the event is only one, and many people are participating in the event.
Not many.
Okay, so the event is only one, but many people are participating or linked to that event, and hence we are calling, event is the parent object, and the volunteers that are linked to that are nothing but the child. Now, in this case, Deepti, should I establish a master detail relationship or a lookup relationship?
Master detail relationship.
Why is that?
Because here it's one to many.
Even in lookup, it's one to many, right? Folks, did I tell you? This is exactly where we get. So even in lookup, it's one to many, right? Even master detail is one to many. Lookup is also one to many. I'm just asking, an event can have multiple volunteers. So we are saying event is the parent object and volunteer is the child object. Great. Now, if you are creating this, like, if you're actually creating these objects and establishing relationship in Salesforce, what would you do? Would you establish a lookup relationship or master detail? And you said master detail. Great. Like, why not lookup? Why is just master detail? So without an event here, is there a point, like, would a volunteer record make sense here without an event?
No.
No. Like, the volunteer record doesn't make sense, right? Like, the volunteer record has no value or no sense at all without linking to an event. Like, only when that volunteer record is linked to an event, we can say, hey, you know what? This is the volunteer that signed up for March 15th event. Okay? If there is only volunteer record present without linking to any event, like, there is no use, right? Like, we will not be able to use it, or we will not be able to invite that person for any event. Okay? So that's why, because a volunteer record cannot exist, or the existence of volunteer record doesn't make sense without linking to an event, we establish master detail relationship there. Okay? If our requirement is, like, I'll tell you the same requirement, but we can use it lookup. If our requirement is, hey, on March 15th, we have an event. Okay? Build an application in such a way that we need volunteers that are registered to be March 15th, but at the same time, even if they are not interested in March 15th event, let's capture the volunteers so that we can send information about any future events that are going to come. Okay, if the requirement is that, like, if the requirement is we have an event on March 15th, but we need volunteers for that. But let's say if the volunteers are not interested in March 15th event, still get their information so we can contact them about future events. In this scenario, we will establish a lookup relationship because, see, we have an event, we have volunteer, we are capturing the volunteer information, but linking the volunteer to this event is not mandatory for us. Okay, in this case, we are going to establish lookup relationship. Does it make sense? When we think about sorry.
So in the previous case, we can use master or lookup, so we can use both, right?
Yes, in the previous case, absolutely. We can in the first case, we can use master or lookup. See, that's the thing. Like this lookup and master detail is only a Salesforce thing. When I say Salesforce thing, from the database perspective, if you are purely thinking from a database perspective, in order to achieve this requirement, we just need two tables that needs to be related with one-to-many relationship. The problem is solved. If you are trying to solve this scenario in SQL or anywhere, the problem is solved. You establish one-to-many relationship and good. Even in Salesforce, whether it's lookup or whether it's master detail, it's one-to-many relationship. Good. But if it is a master detail relationship, Salesforce is giving you some facilities, like some extra facilities, like if the event is deleted, all the volunteers related to that will be deleted. We will talk about other extra features. Salesforce gives some special features like roll-up summary field. It will give some additional benefits that we have. So that's why while creating the objects, depending on the affinity, depending on the situation that is needed, we will either choose master detail or lookup. But like you mentioned, even in the first scenario, if you choose a lookup relationship, it's nothing wrong. It's the important goal there is to establish a parent-child relationship. But because Salesforce offers some special features, if you choose master detail relationship, depending on like the affinity, depending on the scenario that is provided for us, we will make the best judgment whether to use lookup or master detail.
So it can be many to many also, right? So one volunteer can volunteer for many events and.
Yes. When I say yes, I don't want to talk about that concept because I don't want to confuse. But you're right. If you're capturing volunteers in a separate object and events in a separate object, and you're trying to link like the whole app, yes, absolutely. Like it can be many to many. But we are only talking about just text fields, like an event, and we are just trying to say, oh, okay, these 15 people signed up for it, like a very straightforward, simple one. But what you mentioned is also correct. Like, we can make this scenario a good use case for many to many as well, where we can have all the events listed in one object, all the volunteers listed in a separate object independently, and then establish a many to many as well. So we'll talk about that scenario. But for now, let's only focus on one to many. Okay, now I just want to give you guys a breather. Like, don't worry if you are, still not understanding when to use master detail, when to use lookup. The goal here is, as long as you understand, okay, there is a concept called parent-child relationship. Yeah, in this scenario, like there is like an account and the opportunity. Account is a parent and opportunities are child. There is an account and a contact. Account is the parent, contacts are child. So why we are calling an object as parent and why we are calling an object as child? And, what is this relationship giving us? If you know these, I think the goal for the session that we talked about is reached. Okay. We will see some use cases where we exactly specify why to use master detail, why to use lookup, where to use many to many relationship as well. We will get to those scenarios definitely. But as long as you understand what is a parent-child relationship, what is a parent object and child object, I think the goal for this session is good. I just want to know if anybody is confused in those, in that area. Okay, good. Now, okay, let's move on from the database thing. So what I want to do is, I want us to create a custom application. Okay, so in order to practice or in order to know what are the platform features that are available, in order to understand the platform features that are available, let's build a custom application on our own. Let's assume a scenario and let's try to achieve that scenario by building a custom application so that while building the custom application, we will know how to build a custom app, how to create objects, how to create fields. We'll learn about what are the data types that are available, what are the different relationships that are available, how to create a tabs, how to establish relationships, how to use master detail relationship, how to use lookup relationship, how to use formula fields. And then, the reason, see, we can talk about all the features. Okay, we have validation rules, we have workflows, we can talk about all the features, but let's try to create a custom application of our own rather than working or practicing on the existing application that is given by Salesforce. Let's build a custom application of our own and, practice all the features that are available. Because, most of the times you would be building custom applications or modifying things. So let's build that. Now, for the custom application scenario, I want to use a conference management app. So we will try to build a conference management app. Let's say we are organizing a conference. So, when we are organizing a conference, let's say here are the requirements. So somebody, let's say you work for a company and that company is going to host a conference. Okay. That conference is going to have lots of sessions. like, administrator session, developer session, within the developer, like there are so many sessions that are available. So and then there are so many speakers that are going to be there. Okay. So there are so many sessions that are there, and there are so many speakers that are going to speak about that. And like there is also a probability that we have attendees, like, we have people who are going to attend for those conference, and, who will be attending the sessions. And then there is also provision that, speakers will be speaking at multiple sessions, like all these things. So we will come up with a solution and build a conference management app within Salesforce using Lightning Experience from scratch. We'll build this app. Now, so even if you Google conference management app in Salesforce, you will find it. Okay, you will find it. I'm not creating something new or something that you don't find in Google. We can come up with millions of application scenarios and build. But the reason why I chose conference management app is because, what Salesforce does? Whenever they give new features, right? Let's say whenever let's say they build Lightning components. Like 2 years ago, they introduced a feature called Lightning components. So when they introduce that feature called Lightning components, what they do is they take some scenarios, because conference management app is already there. They have written a lot of documentation about this conference management app. What they do is, oh, you know what? In conference management app, we will build Lightning components for these examples, and this is how we build it. Now they introduce something called Lightning Web Components. That's a new concept. So when they introduce new feature, they will write the documentation in such a way that, in conference management app, here is how we will be using Lightning Web Components. So the reason why I'm choosing before classes, before when I trained, I used to choose another app, like a warehouse app that I used to choose. But now I wanted to choose the conference management app because you will have reverse compatibility. Like any enhancement that Salesforce is going to do, they always talk about this conference management app. So you already have an idea what it is, what are the objects that are there. So catching up with those new features would be easy for you. Okay? Okay. Now, let's start creating the app. Today, what I'll do is I'll create the app, we'll name the app, and then, from tomorrow we'll start building the app. Let's go back to the definition. What is an app? An app is, like we spoke about this, an app is a place where we can store the data in a meaningful way, and we can build user interface controls to be able to interact with the data. Okay. So now we are trying to create a custom application in Salesforce called as conference management. Let's start doing that. Okay. So as an admin, as an administrator, or as a developer, whenever you're building an app or whenever you're doing anything in Lightning, the first thing that you go is to this wrench icon. You see the wrench icon here? Setup. Like you see the setup, you just click this setup. Okay, so first thing that you click is setup, and then you see here apps. Or if you're unsure, you can just search for it and it would automatically filter those. But if these are organized, like, the administration, platform tools, settings, these are organized in a meaningful way, and you can just go to apps here. Okay, and then you can click on app manager. So now what are we trying to do? These are all the existing apps that are present, which are given out of the box for us by Salesforce. Let's try to create a new app. Okay, so we will just say new Lightning app. So what is the name of the app? I'll just say conference management. Okay, you see the developer name, always developer name is equivalent to API name. Remember when we were creating fields, we saw API name, right? In the same way, for this app name, we gave it as conference management. This is the label, but the developer name is developer name cannot have spaces. So that's why it automatically added an underscore to it, which is the conference. If you don't like this developer name, you can change it to, that's not a problem. But it's just that, So you can create another app called as conference management, but you cannot have the same API name. That's just to maintain that uniqueness. Okay. So again, for this app, if you want to upload an image, we can upload an image. If you have, I just have my wedding images, nothing other than that on this computer. So maybe I'll have some images. So you can upload an image here so that image will appear on top left corner, and you can change the color. Like, if you want any color theme for that. Yeah, I'll just choose my favorite. Okay, so, and I'm asking use apps, image, and color instead of the ARC's custom theme. These are just aesthetic things, okay? So if you want, usually nobody touches these. Everybody will be like, in reality, whenever somebody is creating, they'll create a name and probably upload an image and leave these things alone. So I'm just clicking next. Okay, so we will come back to these options. I want to tell you what these options are because I got the requirement exactly today. Somebody asking me, I want to tell about this, but let's accept the basics now. Let's accept all the defaults now because 99% of the time you would be doing the same. And we can always, depending on your need, we can always come back and update these options. Okay, so for now, let's accept the what you call a default that is given. We don't need any utility items. I'll tell you what utility items are. We don't need anything. So let's skip this. Okay. Now it's asking, what it is asking is, okay, it's an app that we are creating. We are creating an app called Conference Management app. Good. Now, do you need, what it is asking is, for this app, do you need any of the existing objects? Like, do you need any contacts or cases or accounts or anything? It's just asking, do you need anything like from the existing list of, because see, objects are interusable. Just because you are using an object in one app doesn't mean you don't use that object in another app. All these objects are interusable, and you can use these objects in numerous apps. Like the same object can be used in multiple apps depending on our need. So that's why it's asking, do we need any of the object that you want to use in this? I'll just choose App Launcher. App Launcher is nothing but these red, the dots that we have. So it is it's not an object. Okay. So, and we'll just say we don't need anything. Okay. We don't need anything. So for now, I'm just choosing App Launcher and click next. Okay. Now, this is about user profile. We will talk about user profiles as well. Like it's asking for which profiles this app has to be available. So for now, I'll just say system administrator because our profile is system administrator. I'll just choose this. I will come back to all of this, like, what user profile and all that stuff. So for now, just choose system administrator, click save and finish. Okay. Now you see, we created a conference management app. The name is Conference Management. Sorry, I forgot the description. Let me just update the description. Okay, so we are on the app screen. So conference management, I gave the description what this app is. So when was it last modified? And this is good. Okay, so how do we access this app now? Like in order to access this app, you see here, we have this app launcher. We click this and you see, we have the conference management app here. These are all the apps that are already given to us by Salesforce. Okay, and there is a conference management app that we created today. So we can rearrange as well. Like, I can move conference management here chatter here, community. Like I can drag and drop and organize the order. Now that we are going to work on conference management app, and our second priority will be sales app. Okay, so because we are going to work on conference management app for coming few days, because we are going to build it, I'll put this conference management app as the first one. Okay, let me just click on this. Okay, so now you see you don't have anything here because we didn't add any tabs, right? I'll tell you the difference. See, if I go to sales app, I'm seeing all these tabs because a sales app, as you know, should include all this. Like, all the tabs that you are seeing here include the sales application. But for us, for our application, for our conference management application, we did not have any objects added. Okay, just to just to show you the and we do not need the app launcher as well. I added app launcher just to show you what it is, but we do not need the app launcher as well. So let's remove it. Okay, before removing it, any questions so far? All I did was I went to set up app manager. I created an app. I just chose the theme, like this red color theme. That's all stupid things, which I did. But so I just created an app, and I did not select any of the tabs that I only chose app launcher. That's why the app launcher is showing up. Other than that, we did not choose anything. Whereas if I navigate to sales, it's like this. See, app launcher, this app launcher is a beautiful thing. You see here, within Salesforce, within one instance itself, you can create lots of apps. When I say lot of apps, see, for example, the place where I work for, remember I told you I work for a healthcare company. So we have an app dedicated for the people who work on the field, like nurses and everybody. Okay, we have an app that we created only for HR people, the HR team in our company uses that app. We have an app that is used by accounts payable team. We have an app that we built for account receivables team. So we have different apps. So how do they choose those? And there are some people who are like the big heads, like the corporate big heads. They have access to they basically run the company, so they have access to all the applications. But how do they know? They have access to all the applications. That means they have access to all the objects, all the tabs and everything. So how do they, when they are working, how do they determine? All they do is they come to app launcher, here, they click on this, and they'll be, okay, let me go to sales app. So when they click, they go to the sales app and they work with sales app. Now if they want to, let me go to conference management app. So they click on this, the dots here. So they click here and they go to conference management. So it's all about building apps in Salesforce. In Salesforce, all we are trying to do is we are going to build an app. I mean, we are going to build one app or we are going to build multiple apps. But so the ultimate goal is, hey, what are you working on? Oh, yeah, we're building this app. Now, your role within that building app, either your role will be to write some code, build the UI or whatever it is. But ultimately, we are trying to package everything into an app. Okay. Now, because we don't want this app launcher, let's modify it. Okay. Let's make sure this app launcher goes away from our conference management app. Okay. How do we do that? Always go to setup. Okay. I'm going to go to apps again. App manager. So this is the conference management app. Okay. I'm going to click this button, click edit. Okay. I will go to navigation items. I don't want this app launcher, so I will just check it. Hit save, and then go back. Okay. Now I'm gonna go back again here to conference management app. Oh, it takes some time to kick in. Let me go switch the apps and come back. Oh, come on. I don't want the This is not the problem, but what Lightning, the framework, right? Lightning as a framework uses lots of cache, your browser cache. So because we opened this page like 3-4 times, and we are coming back to this page, in order to deliver the page faster, it uses the browser cache and gives it. Even though we made the change, it's not reflecting quickly. Let's do a reload. Good. You see, now it's saying no items. Okay, so it's just the browser cache. So that's a problem with Lightning. It's a good thing actually. If you see from production, like if you see from performance perspective, it's a good thing that it uses the browser cache and delivers the page rather than retrieving everything from the server. It's a good thing. But sometimes as a developer or as an admin, it's annoying because even though you made the change, you said I don't want app launcher. You have to come here and refresh the page like multiple times. So keep that in mind. If we are working in Lightning, just don't panic that, oh, I removed it, but it didn't remove. Give it some time, or just log out and log in back. If you're not sure, just log out and log in back after a minute, or try to refresh the page multiple times. Okay, good. So we are trying to build a conference management app from scratch. All we have is we have an app, we have a container, but we don't have anything yet in that. Okay. From tomorrow, what we'll start is we'll start building the session object. We'll build the speaker object. Then we'll build the relationship between them. We'll try to get some attendees. All those things. Okay. Any questions so far on the creation of app? Anybody? Krishna, do you have any question or anything? Are you good so far?
No, this is fine. I'm good. Maybe
Shiva,
once I start
are you good?
making this, we'll come up with questions
Yeah.
tomorrow.
That's good. I encourage you guys to actually try to create an app. Like you see, when I showed you the app creation, it'll be like, oh, I click setup.
This is easy.
All
Yes,
I do is
yes.
access. It's
But
easy.
once we start doing
but
it,
when
there will be a number of
yeah,
questions.
yes, exactly. That's why I don't trust your eyes, especially in Salesforce work.
Yes.
Vijay or Shiva, do you guys have any questions? Anything, not only on this app creation topic, but anything else so far that we discussed? Shiva, are you speaking? Are you on mute? Or I see you unmuted, but I cannot hear you. You can chat as well in case. Deepti, any questions?
No, this part is very clear, Shravan.
Okay. Good. Niranjan, are you okay?
Yes, fine, sir.
Okay, good. So yeah, tomorrow, same time, 6 p.m. We will start creating the session object. Just to let you know, sometimes while creating the app, we'll be doing some dumb things which might not be useful for the app, but we are trying to explore the features of Salesforce, right? So we are creating the app in a meaningful way, but sometimes we would go out of the meaningful way just to understand some more concepts. The things that we might not actually do while we are building a real app, what we might do here, because we want to learn as many features as possible. Okay, so we'll try to do it in a meaningful way as much as possible. Sometimes we might do some things which might not be exactly related to the app, but only to do that. Shiva has a question. Can we remove the top search icon? Do you mean this one? Shiva, you mean this one? Let me see the chat. Okay. I don't think global search cannot be disabled. You have to have the global search. You cannot disable this global search. But there are some requests made by some customers not to remove the global search. But the global search is tightly related with Chatter and so many other things. So Salesforce is making so many enhancements there. So you cannot hide this global search. You would have to have it. But there are ways. What we can do is there are ways, like we'll talk about security and everything, where, even though people search for some record, the records wouldn't come up here. So there are ways we can make that so that the table is not searchable. So we can make that, but we cannot completely remove the the global search here. That's one thing. The second thing is, if we are building a custom application, like even if we are building the custom UI on our own, like we are building an app and we are trying to build the UI also in a customized way, not using the Salesforce way, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we don't have to include the global search for that. But overall, completely removing the global search from an app is not possible. Salesforce is not giving us that feature. Okay, in an app, no, not possible. But if we build a custom app, like I said, completely using our custom UI, there are ways we can build pages and not include that. But regularly, if we are using standard out of the box features, we cannot. But I highly doubt. I don't know. There won't be many clients who wouldn't want the global search. One of the biggest selling feature of Salesforce is this global search. Because you can literally search for any record in the system right by coming here. And we can implement some security rules in such a way that even when you search, some of the records doesn't come up. Like, there are options that are given to us, but you cannot remove this bar on the whole. Okay? All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 6 p.m. Okay?